Hey guys, little update for you here. So I've been prepping for the next video with the door and switch system, and I'm working on my project, and I'm looking at my map, and I've got my dorky grandpa glasses on, and something is just wrong. Look at this. You see this level here? Look at the doors, the entrances, not lining up at all. If I pull open, let's see, this is scene 4. If I pull open my scene 4, that should be tied to, you see I have an entrance on the top left and then 3 on the right. And when I go back to my pause menu, it's like swapped. Essentially, what it boils down to is I made a pretty major error in the map node, and so we need to fix it. And I'm sorry I made it. It's one of those things that I guess I'm human, but didn't test it on unusually shaped levels. Everything I tested were these, long, narrow levels. Seemed like it was working okay. The tops and bottoms seem like they're working. These ones are lining up. There is a minor improvement we can make to these ones as well. So I'm just going to go through the code and kind of show you and talk to you about where I made the mistake and what the fix is so that you don't have this issue. Now, I did comment about this in the last video, so some of you maybe already saw that and have fixed it. And if so, that's fine. You can move on to the next one. But essentially what the issue boils down to is maybe a combination of two issues. One was I was trying to account for the fact that if I look at a level, our X and Y coordinate system, up is negative and down is positive. And I was thinking about the relationship of objects here in the 2D scene compared to here in the node. And in my head, I was thinking that maybe they're reversed when in fact they're not. So there's one issue. The other issue is that I didn't take into account the offset here of this level bounds, because that really is what should be reflected when we decide how to position these, right? Because these entrances are positioned in relation to that level bounds. That's the important thing, because those level bounds translate into the shape and size of this box. So in order to be able to size the entrances appropriately, we need to account for that. Thankfully, the fix isn't too bad. So let's just hop in here, and the issue is going to stem from, I guess, not our pause menu. It's going to be in this map node script, all right? So you can see here in our create transition blocks, actually this is all good. This one's working fine. Let's go to our create entrance data. This is the one. This is where the issue crops in. So right here, I was trying to account for the size of the box and offset it and do all this fancy stuff. And for some reason, it seemed like that worked, but it just doesn't. And in addition to fixing this bug, I want to clean this up a little bit, because here we're like dividing each of these by scale factor. Just a lot of code that I feel like is redundant. In fact, pretty much this whole elif statement is somewhat redundant. I'm not going to remove it completely, although if any of you have any desire to do so, you certainly can. But here's how I want to start. I'm going to take this transition that we've got here, T, and we're going to begin by defining and kind of getting the position of this, and we want to include the offset. So instead of doing all this position work down here, I'm going to start, because it's going to be calculated the same for all of them. So I'm going to say var pos, this is a vector 2. And let's define and calculate this position. Now this position is the position that we're going to use as our offset, okay, or to calculate the offset. So the position is going to be kind of like some of this code down here, with the difference, right? Because again, we're not considering the offset of the level bounds on this one. So let's start though by getting our position, and I'm just going to use t.position, okay, because we're going to just calculate this all from the scope or perspective of being inside of one of these levels, okay? So we're just going to get this transition's position within its scene, and then what we're going to do is we're going to offset it by looking at this level bounds. You can see in this example, my level bounds is up a little bit and over to the left a little bit. This is a minor enough difference that it might not affect the map. But if you had a really big map and your level bounds was way up here, then this is definitely going to impact how those entrances are drawn, okay? So we already actually grabbed this level bounds value in our script. If you recall, when we did this work up here to update the node, we find the level bounds, and then we store its position as an indicator offset. And we could maybe rename this. I'm not going to, but it is a little bit more general purpose, right? But we're going to use this indicator offset here. Okay, that's that's going to give us the actual position that we need for this in relation to the level bounds. Now, once we do that, we'll go ahead and divide it by the scale factor so that we don't have to do that down here. Okay, so now each of these conditions where we're calculating the offset, we're just going to change the code a little bit. Really, all we have to do, because we've calculated it up here, we know that if this is on the left, that we need to get the position Y because that's the offset, right? And actually, that's already way more accurate than what we had before. The only other thing I want to do here is I want to take into account the size of these entrances. Since I'm drawing them as 3 pixels tall, I'm just going to subtract 3. That way it'll bump it up, because really it's going to draw this rectangle from the top and then it extends down 3 pixels. So we kind of have to account for those 3 pixels. And that's what we're doing here with subtract 3. So now I can just copy this. It's the same for our right side. And then we can go down to the top and bottom and we'll just get the X position for these. Okay. Very simple. So the code is a lot cleaner and works a lot better now. Oops, what did I hit? Okay, so we've got our new positions. Now there's one other thing that I want to do, and that's to prevent a little bit of a bug where they could still, let's go ahead and save this actually. If I go back to this map node, let's just, or my pause menu, let's select this guy and let's update it. So we should see these things get better. Boink, a lot better. You know, I had to go through and update quite a few of them. Now this one demonstrates the last thing I want to kind of fix. We put some clamping to keep it like 2 pixels away from a corner. You can see this one's actually only 1 pixel away. And that's because, again, because of that height, right? Our margin is only 2 pixels, but if our height of our entrance is 3, then obviously it can poke down and cover that up. What we need to do is just adjust how we do this second offset. The first one's fine because, again, we draw our rectangle here, we draw them from the top. So 2 pixels down is perfect. But then if we prevent it from being only 2 pixels from the bottom, well, it's 3 pixels tall. It could theoretically still stick down below by 1 pixel, right? So we just go to our script and leave this part alone. But then here, instead of subtracting 2, we'll subtract 5 because now it's that adding that extra 3 pixels on there, right? And you could probably simplify this. I mean, you could almost calculate the offset here and then just make adjustments based on left or right, but because this is pretty much completely redundant between these two, but obviously we're storing them in a different location. Down here, I'm just going to come and do the same thing for our size X. We're going to subtract 5 like that. Okay. So we're just adjusting how we're clamping by being a little bit more aggressive, adding the extra 3 pixels. And now when I update this one more time, if I go back to 2D and hit update, there you can see that one bumped up and now it's kind of matching a little bit. Okay, so I just need to go through and update all these, make sure that they're looking good. For the most part, they do seem to be looking all right. You can see those ones shifted. This one's might shift, but now I can drag this one down. And now that makes a little bit more sense. Things are a little bit lining up a little bit better, right? Oh, is my position off on that one? What's going on with my layout here? Yeah, why is it 101, 72? That's funny. I don't know how I got that going. It's trying to snap to something. Snap to pixel. Well, I'm not going to make you watch me struggle with that, but there we go. That's how we can fix that issue. Again, apologize for having the issue in the first place, but at least it provided an opportunity to review the code a little bit further with you guys. So stay tuned for the next video. It'll be coming out pretty soon. And thank you for watching. Go ahead and drop a comment. If you have other bugs or issues with the map system, maybe drop them on the previous video because that's the primary source for that. Otherwise, we'll see you next time.